Hey, it's Jared Bear, the One-Eye Computer Guy. Today we're taking a look at a Windows 7 installation. We'll give a comprehensive overview of installing Windows 7 64-bit top to bottom, front to back. For purposes of this demonstration, we are going to use a DVD to install Windows 7. It's important to note that every computer manufacturer has a different method of achieving a boot menu. For example, Dell commonly uses F12, while HP uses F9. Once you've managed to boot from the disk, you'll see the Windows is loading file bar go across the bottom of the screen. It may happen multiple times depending on the hardware computer you're using. If you are using DVD media like we are for this demonstration, you'll hear your drive spin up. If you're using a solid-state flash drive, chances are you won't hear anything. You'll know you've achieved success when the starting Windows and Windows logo pop onto the screen. Once the installer boots all the way, you'll see the Install Windows screen where you'll have language options, time and currency information, and keyboard layout. Hit Next on this screen. For purposes of this demonstration, we're going to hit Install Now, although it is important to note other links here, such as Repair Your Computer, that can come in handy later for a damaged installation. Once setup has continued, you'll come to the Microsoft Software License Agreement. At this point, you have to agree to the license agreement in order to proceed with the installation. Click the checkbox on the left side and click Next to continue. On the next screen, you're presented with two options: Upgrade, which is seldom used, and for our purposes, we're going to select Custom. Here, the installer wants to know where you'd like to put Windows. If you have multiple hard drives, you'll see multiple hard drives populating this area. For our purposes, we have just one. When we click Next, all the proper NTFS formatting will be done for the drive. The hardware configuration and speed of the hard drive will determine how fast the setup process is. Every computer or device is different in this consideration. For example, solid-state drives will load Windows a lot faster than traditional hard drives, whereas older machines will definitely take longer to load Windows. As the setup process rolls along, you'll notice checkboxes on the left-hand side as the installer completes tasks. The computer will eventually ask you to reboot. It is important to note while the computer is rebooting not to press any button, as that will likely bring up the Windows installer again. Instead, you should see the Windows logo populate on the screen as the next setup process begins. The setup screen that returns looks familiar, but don't panic. Windows is just completing any unfinished tasks that didn't happen on the first go-round. This process will definitely be quicker than the first setup screen. Once the installation is complete, Windows will reboot again before the setup process can continue. Once the setup resumes, we get closer to personalizing the computer. The first part of personalization is picking a name for your computer. Here, we'll use the generic owner tag for the example. Once you've selected a username for the computer, click on the Next button in the bottom right corner. Here you have an optional setup for a password. You don't have to click and type in a password at this point. You can always do that later. Click Next to continue. The next step of the setup process asks you for a product activation key. This step is optional, and by clicking Skip, you can enter into a Windows trial. Next, we are asked how we'd like to receive system updates. For purposes of this demonstration, we are going to use recommended settings. Finally, we are going to choose our time zone and time before clicking Next in the bottom right hand corner. Finally, we are asked what type of network we wish to join. If you do not know the answer to this one, home, work, or public, choose public as it will have limited sharing options. For our purposes, we are going to choose work before completing the installation. Finally, we're ready to boot into Windows as it prepares our desktop for the first time we'll be viewing it. Though it might be tempting to get right to work with your new Windows 7 installation, it's important to note that Windows 7 originally came out in 2009, so there are a whole slew of updates that require being done for safety, security, and product updates. Though we previously selected to acquire updates automatically, we can manually check for updates the first time by right-clicking on Computer in the Start menu and choosing Windows Update in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen that pops up. Click Check for Updates to receive a bevy of updates. Depending on your installation media and computer hardware, you may have a different update count. Depending on your internet speed, some updates may take longer than others. Once the update's finished, it's a good idea to begin installing drivers before installing any software. We hope you found this tutorial entertaining and helpful, as well as comprehensive. Stay tuned for more. Thank you.